Hello friends, welcome to Ivy-GreGMAT GMAT Verbal CR Session 1 Part B. I am Arijit. Let's start. Question number 11. When storing Renaissance paintings, museums conform to standards that call for careful control of surrounding temperature and humidity, with variations confined within narrow margins. Maintaining this environment is very costly, and recent research shows that even old oil paintings is unaffected by wide fluctuations in temperature and humidity. Therefore, therefore, museums could relax their standards and save money without endangering their Renaissance oil paintings. So what we have got here is certain facts about oil paintings, Renaissance oil paintings. Previously, like we can say, uh, the fact one may be storing oil paintings in the museum. They had to have certain standards, careful temperature and humidity control. The variations were having narrow margins. Now, maintaining this is costly. This is fact two. This is fact one. This is fact two, that it is costly. And recent, but there is some recent research which has shown that even oil paintings are unaffected by wide fluctuations in temperature and humidity. And followed by a therefore. So, therefore means we are getting the conclusion here. Museums could relax their standards and save money without endangering their Renaissance oil paintings. So this is the conclusion. So we need to get an assumption that these facts could lead to this conclusion. So the question here is, which of the following is an assumption on which the argument depends? That all these facts, fact 1, fact 2, fact 3, as per the author, would lead to a conclusion which is that the museums could relax their standards and save money without endangering the oil paintings. So let's search for that assumption. And as we have seen, to check it, we'll negate this assumption so that this conclusion gets weakened and we can then mark that option. Let us look at option D. None of the materials in the Renaissance oil paintings other than the paint are vulnerable enough to relatively wide fluctuations in temperature humidity to cause damage to the paintings. Well, this assumption should be there to validate this. Why? Reason being, we are taking into consideration that temperature and humidity are affecting the paints. One second. The paintings, the paints in the Renaissance oil painting. So we presume that if the new finding shows that even the old oil paintings are unaffected by wild fluctuations in temperature, that means the temperature and humidity will have zero effect on the paints. So if if there are other chemicals also in the oil paintings, what it is saying, none of the materials in the oil painting other than the paint are vulnerable. So if say a given paint, we'll put it this way, a paint, if it is made of substance X and Y and Z, then it is found out that X is not affected. But if Y and Z gets affected by the fluctuation of temperature and humidity, our argument that these paintings will last even of because of wide fluctuations will fall apart. The research says that even old oil paintings are unaffected by wide fluctuations in temperature and humidity. This definitely assumes that a paint has got only ingredients, no other extra ingredient, and humidity, right? Nothing will be affected. Nothing else will be affected. So let's read it again. None of the material in the Renaissance oil paintings other than the paint are vulnerable. This is assumed that these are not vulnerable to temperature and humidity. And it has been proven that this material can bear wide fluctuations in temperature. Then it's okay. This is an assumption. So option D we can very well negate and see if we put it like this. There are materials in Renaissance oil paintings other than paint that are vulnerable enough to relative wide fluctuations in temperature and humidity to cause damage in the paintings. Then in that case, if we negate this option D, then this conclusion is weakened. That means option D is correct. Let's read the negated assumption again. There are materials in the Renaissance oil paintings other than the paint that are vulnerable to wide fluctuations in temperature and humidity to cause damage to the painting. If that is true, then this conclusion of the author will be weakened. So our option is correct. B is the correct option. So the assumption in this case is none of the material in Renaissance oil paintings other than the paint are vulnerable enough to relative wide fluctuations in temperature and humidity to cause damage to the paintings. Yes, this one. Absolutely correct. Let's look at the other options also for our benefit. Renaissance oil paintings are created in conditions involving far greater fluctuations in temperature and humidity than those permitted in current standards. While they were created, I am least interested in that. Whether they will survive or not, that's more important. Option B, under the current standards that that museums use when storing Renaissance oil paintings, those paintings do not deteriorate at all. This is challenging the facts. Absolutely out. Museum collections typically do not contain items that are more likely to vulnerable to fluctuation. We are not talking about other items. We are talking about paintings only. So out. Option E: most Renaissance oil paintings are stored in museums located in regions near the regions where the paintings. No, nothing is out of scope. Option D is the correct answer. Let's move to the next one. Question number 12. For similar cars and drivers, automobile insurance for collision damage has always cost more in Greatport than in Fairmount. Police studies, however, show that cars owned by Greatport residents are, on average, slightly less likely to be involved in a collision than cars in Fairmount. Clearly, therefore, insurance companies are making a great profit on collision damage insurance in Greatport than in Fairmount. So we have got a situation here. Similar cars and drivers, automobile insurance for collision damage is more in Greatport than in Fairmount. Greatport, Fairmount. Insurance is costly here. Insurance is less costly here. Police studies show that the car owned by the Greatport residents, these people are on average less likely to be involved in collision than the collision is less, collision is high. So there is a paradoxical situation that the insurance is costly while the collision is less because the insurance companies bear the cost of repairs and the damages. So if there is high number of collision, that means more money the insurance company has to give to towards repairs and damages. So in that case, insurance should be costly in Fairmount. So if this is the case, the author says clearly, therefore, then the conclusion drawn by the author is insurance companies are making greater profit on collision damage insurance in Grateford than in Fairmount. So insurance companies are making more profit here. How come? To support this argument, there is an assumption here that the insurance companies are making more profit. What may be their assumption? Let's look at the option. Option A. Repairing typical collision damage does not cost more in Grateford than in Fairmount. He is presuming or assuming that the repairing typical collision damage does not cost more. If the collision damage cost is same in both the cases, then definitely the insurance companies are making more profit. If the cost is high here, then definitely insurance companies are not making profit here, because a collision less, still the cost is high. Say there are 10 collisions here and there are 20 collisions in a given month. The cost of repair is high here, the cost is low here. If that is the case, if that is the case, if this costs rupees 1000 with 100 rupee being the cost per repair, and if the cost is low here, say 20 rupees, then the total cost borne by the insurance company will be 400. So in that case, insurance companies won't be making profit. So that's the fundamental. If the cost of repair is itself high, think about it. If the cost of repair is high, then the insurance companies typical collision cost does not cost more in Grateford than in Fairmount. So if the cost of repair is high here, this less collision is taken care of, already taken care of. Let's not think like this. Let's think that if the cost is high here and the cost is low here, insurance company only pay for the cost. And if this is the thing, then insurance companies are not making profit. Hence, the assumption is that the repairing typical collision damage does not cost more in Grateford than in Fairmount. Let's negate this. Let's knock it off. Repairing typical collision damage costs more in Grateford than in Fairmount. If the cost is high here, negating the option. If this is the case, then this is weakened. Fair? So the assumption in this argument is repairing typical collision damage does not cost more in Grateford than in Fairmount, because at the end of the day, it is the repairing cost. That cost is being borne by the insurance company. Insurance company's bills go up with two factors. One is the number of collisions and the cost involved. If the cost is high and the number of collisions are low, is is the in the other place, if the number of collisions are high but the cost is low, situation remains the same. So our author's conclusion holds true only if typical repairing cost of a collision damage does not is not more in Grateford than in Fairmount. Option A is the correct answer. Okay, let's go to the next one.